Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Building Doors podcast. Thank you for joining us. My name is Christy Harst, and today on the podcast, we're talking a little VO shop, specifically with door builders. Jenn Sims and Ashton Teal are here to talk all about the commercial genre. Now, let's just kind of bring it to reality here. There's a lot going on in the VO industry right now, and a lot of people are wondering, is it just me? Am I not booking? Are my bookings falling off? And the fact of the matter is, you are not alone. And we really need to pay attention to trends in each of our genres and in the industry as a whole. And so that's why I'm bringing on some door builders to talk genre specific. And today's all about commercial with Jenn and Ashton. Welcome, ladies.
Thanks. Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so exciting. So Jenn, why don't you just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about where you're geographically located, maybe a few of your clients, and some of your commercial highlights.
Sure. So I'm Jenn Sims. I work for my broadcast quality home studio here in Los Angeles. My primary genres are corporate narration and commercial, although I've worked in promo, audiobook, animation, video game, but primarily commercial and corporate narration. And some of my clients that I've had the privilege of voicing for would be Hyundai, Wells Fargo, and covered California.
Awesome. And Ashton Teal, her name is a color and she always wears it. Yeah, because she's on brand, folks.
Wow.
She's on brand. Introduce yourself to our listeners and watchers.
Hi. Well, thank you for that introduction. Always love a jingle. Ashton Teal. I am from Texas. I'm in San Antonio in my broadcast home studio. And some of my clients include Google, Amazon, Hilton, and JCPenney.
Yay!
Yeah.
So with that, I want to dive right in and talk about trends that you are both seeing in the auditions and jobs the auditions you receive and the jobs you book for commercial. Like, what is the difference between commercial from when you started and what you're seeing right now specific to 2026?
Jenn, you want to go first?
No.
No.
I feel like you had something to say, so you should say
No,
it.
I mean, I'm so new to this, and I think I bring a different perspective because I don't have this like Rolodex of historical experience. And so I'm just in that mode of like, every audition I get, every job I get is kind of building on that for me. So yeah, I mean, I'm busier this year than I was this time last year because this time last year I was brand spanking new. I mean, I got my demo in January of 2025. So my first summer was just getting a few jobs here or there. This summer for me, I'm also juggling being a mom, which I love being, and I love that I get this career. And so I am able to juggle not having my kids in summer camp every day, but I'm getting to really prioritize my agent auditions, which is awesome. So my inbox isn't flooded, but I can't look at one thing and say, for me, oh, this is a trend that I'm seeing that's much different from what I saw at the start of the year. But that's me.
And I love that. I love that we have two people that have different experiences that we can talk about this, because that's the point. If you're just getting into VO, you might not know what you're experiencing is a trend or is a downfall or an upswing. You might not know. Jenn, what is your perspective?
So for me, because I also started on the ad agency side, I actually started as an actor, got into advertising, became an executive producer. So I've seen every sort of iteration from both sides of the glass for more than 20 years. And I think the one thing particularly that I noticed when I got started, sort of to Christy's point from the last podcast about you're overthinking it. You're all overthinking it. I literally had an agent tell me that. And so I think it's that sort of like, don't worry so much about it. I think Kelly from Voicecaster made the comment too. It's like, they don't know what they want. And I can tell you, friends from both sides, they don't. So sometimes if I make a mistake in an audition, I'll leave it, not a horrible, ugly mistake, but just something like, that's different. So I'll leave it. And sometimes that gets me booked. Sometimes it doesn't, but people keep coming back. So I know that I'm doing something right, because even if I don't book it, I always assume that I'm auditioning for the next thing. Like, it's that whole feeling of like, well, I may or may not book this particular audition, but I certainly want you to remember me for the next one. So I think the trend has been just like, not be sloppy or careless, but just not be so precious about it.
And I think that's such good advice, Because I did a post on our Building Doors Instagram page, and it was all about the elephant in the booth. I'm so cute, right? Elephant in the room, elephant in the booth. So I asked people to respond by saying, put a 1 in the chat if your bookings have kind of fallen off a little in 2026. Put a 2 in the chat if, they're the same. Or 3, I'm killing it, best year ever. 78% of respondents to date say number 1. They're kind of falling off.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself, okay, there's probably a ton of different factors that are causing that, but it certainly isn't lack of talent. It certainly isn't lack of hustle. And it certainly isn't lack of, I'll say I get auditions all the time from my agents, right? So it's not necessarily lack of opportunity. I think, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the number of auditions that casting directors and agents are receiving. And so in evangelizing Building Doors, I talk to a lot of casting directors, agents, and voice seekers. They're getting thousands for one job. Thousands. In fact, in a recent BD Industry Access workshop, we had a casting director on, and she said, I listen to anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 auditions a day, depending on how many jobs. So, because there's so many people auditioning, right? It's not a lack of talent. That's not why you're not getting booked. It's not a lack of hustle, and it's not a lack of passion. That's not why people aren't booking right now. I think from what I'm learning is that it's about the numbers. It's a numbers game. So if you audition for a job for, let's just say, Ford, and that casting director or agent or voice seeker gets 1,500 auditions, how do you stand out? How do you walk out of your booth and say, I did the best that I could? If it's not for me, it's not for me. But I know that I did what it took to stand out. Do you guys use lead-ins? Do you guys, what kind of things do you do?
I think the best thing that you can do is, getting to know the person you're casting for. If the person that's casting the job, if you're not paying attention to every audition that comes through with the way that they're asking for the slate or the no slate, or which casting director it's coming from, and you take their classes and you coach one-on-one with them, then you start to learn those preferences, because they're all different. We're all human. They're all looking for something different. And I think reminding us that, the casting are people too. So we're speaking to that person, but once it goes to casting, they're not the end all be all. They're reporting back to a client who then has to make a choice. And that may go through 2, 3, 4, 5 different levels. And I think the one thing that I've had to be really good at, because I don't love the journey most of the time, I just want the end result. And the lack of feedback is really hard, I think, for all of us, when you don't hear anything. But I think some really great advice I heard recently was, we're an agent, especially. I think we get hung up on our agent's opinion of us. And if we're not booking for them, then, are they going to drop us from the roster? Are they going to stop sending us auditions? And I think hearing this was really liberating for me, which was, all your agent wants is some type of feedback, whether that's a redirect, whether that's an avail check, whether that is a booking. They just want to hear some type of feedback that you're getting traction. And I think if we can all just let go of that a little bit, because it ties back into all of the auditions aren't wanting us to try as hard. If you look at these auditions, they're wanting real people. They might as well go to my next door neighbor, Donna, and ask her. They want somebody who's never done this before.
Okay, Donna. Okay.
Some of us want to be.
Donna's got a new career.
That's right.
Some of us could get offended by that because we've worked really hard, because we're actors, we're trained actors, and all they want is real people. And I think if we can just tie into that authenticity of who we are, then we become more bookable. And the second that I let go of perfection or trying to be what I know that one casting director wants me to be, because I coached so hard with her and I'm going to be exactly what she wants me to be. Oh my gosh, no. Just be in the moment, be present, and be authentically your version of yourself. And I think that that's what is a universal truth among casting. You hear it over and over from them. It's just be yourself. That's all that we can give.
Jen, what do you think?
Well, I agree with Ashton 1,000%. It's so true. It goes back to what I was saying about overthinking it. We can't know what's in their minds. If they're listening to 4,000, 5,000, even 400 auditions come on. The ear fatigue is real. And I know because when I was on the agency side, that was my responsibility too, putting together select reels. And listen, I'd skip, I'm like, I don't like your slate, moving on, because I had to get somewhere. So I think to Ashton's point, building relationships. I get the auditions from the same like entities, agents, casting for years over and over again. And it's not because I'm a ringer and it's like, well, just throw Jen Sims in the mix so everybody else looks great. It's so they know that I deliver. And I think also to Ashton's point, just this authenticity is the watchword. Again, if I make a little boo-boo, if I mispronounce a word, if I throw in a button or an improv, I'm not rewriting the entire copy, but every now and then I'm just like, nah, I'm going to bring some Jen to it. And that has not hurt me.
And what I love about both of your answers and this dialogue that we're having is that in this age of AI, it's all going back to relationships. It's all going back to human connection. And so I do this. I used to do it once a year. Now I'm starting to do it more often, where I would call up all my agents and say, hey, I want to do a check-in. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, that I'm delivering what you expect me to deliver. Have there been any super, bad auditions I put, like totally missed the mark? Or am I status quo? Or can you recommend anything that I can do different? And those conversations have been instrumental in how I approach auditions and my career as a whole. And if you can reach out to the voice seeker or whoever's sending you auditions, or if you can take a class, if you're fortunate enough budget-wise to take a class being offered by a casting director that sends out opportunities, I think that will speak volumes and go much farther than posting on social media 5 times a week with, VO tips. Right.
And everybody has their own thing. I get hard on myself because I'm like, oh, I should be doing more of this or more of that. But I think being true to yourself throughout this journey, because the comparison, it will steal our joy so fast. And I have just resided to treating this career kind of like being a gambler.
Do tell.
You make deposits. Every audition we make is a deposit. It is the same thing as me pumping money into a slot machine that is under the control, of the casino giants. And I don't know when my triple cherries are going to hit, I don't know when I'm going to hit the jackpot. Probably shouldn't say triple cherries are going to hit, but, you just never know when it's going to be your time. And so that's why we continue to put into it. And the more you put into it, obviously, the more you get out of it. That's just hard facts.
Yeah. And I've heard some people also refer to auditioning as planting seeds.
1,000%.
Because that same person who constantly hears your voice, you might not get that job. But then I've gotten emails from people that I worked with 5 years ago. Hey, Christy, a long time ago, I put a couple of your auditions in a folder and I'm at a new place and I needed somebody. Can you get this audition quick?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
1,000%.
Not a problem, right?
Right.
So let's talk about AI. Oh, yay. It's the AI conversation. Everybody's having the AI conversation. I recently saw a Facebook post that kind of got a little crazy in one of our VO private group threads. Someone went on and wrote lengthy paragraphs about how AI is taking all the jobs. It's pointless to be in voice acting. It's pointless to try. This is ridiculous. I hate AI. AI is stealing blase, 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 woo, woo. And so what's interesting is when I take a step back, there's a lot of truth in these comments and this commentary and these conversations. Yes, AI is a very cheap and ever improving source for people to use voiceover. Every day it gets better and every day it's cheaper. Yeah, sure. But in evangelizing Building Doors, I talk face to face with brands and I have yet for a brand to tell me, yeah, we use AI. Every single one of them says we will never use AI. Every single one of them says we will always hire human. And that's encouraging, right? And so then I have to ask myself, well, is it the big corporate brands that are choosing to go human, and then the more local or regional people who are producing these quick, quick ads or quick social media spots, are those the ones that are using the quick and easy, cheap AI? And Jenn, with your experience on being on both sides of the glass, as you said, in advertising world and voiceover, what is your take on this?
So AI is definitely concerning, and I definitely think it's taking a portion of the work, but low-hanging fruit, things that just didn't pay that well to begin with. And from the agency side, I can tell you, I still don't know a creative director, a copywriter, a producer who's like, you know what I'd love is a computer voice. We like to work with creatives. We like to be able to direct them. I think this is true of all of us. It's like, bring your human experience. Tell me what you're like. Show me your sense of humor, your taste level. So I do agree that it's a problem, and it is getting better and faster and cheaper all the time. But I think for people who are doing a little more elevated work, they're always going to want to work with human beings. We have nuance, we breathe, we bring our human stories. And so I don't think it's panic time yet, but it is concerning.
And I want to piggyback on that, but I know that there are people that have been severely impacted by AI and their voice has been replicated or it's shown up in a commercial. And I do not want to like bypass that without kind of bringing up the seriousness of it for the people in our industry that do what we do, because it's not okay. I think it's been really interesting. I think I've been hired by four jobs this year that are promoting AI. And these are AI in the sense of Google Gemini and things like that, where they're promoting the AI services, not AI voice services. But it's interesting to me that, you know, they're marketing AI services and not using an AI voice. And so that's kind of the hug that I need that makes me feel a little bit better, that if they're promoting Google Gemini and Chrome and they're choosing a human voice, well, they could have just used AI. And then they hired human again. And then they hired human again. So you've got these big tech companies that are using that, you know, that are using the technology, that are creating the technology, that are hiring human. And whether that's because of the agency that's on their side, which we love, you know, our friends at the agency and the producers that, you know, push them that way. But it's encouraging, I think, for me to see the people that have the technology, that are building the technology, to still hire human when they could have used something different.
Yeah, I lost 3 big e-learning jobs that I've had for like 10 years to AI. And the way I see it is this. I had a really good relationship with one of them. And she said to me, you know, AI is this new shiny thing. And everybody, all the young people who make the decisions think it's cool. And she goes, I have a feeling we'll come back to you. And I think that in a lot of ways, AI has swung so far one way that it's going to come back to center at some point. And we're going to find where AI fits, where human is best and where AI fits. So I want to shift a little and talk about a Building Doors specific topic, which is men and women in casting. There was a recent newsletter article that someone forwarded me from Atlanta Voiceover Studio. I got it right. And that casting directors recently shared at the latest VO Atlanta that they have seen an uptick in requests for male voices. And so historically, women have not had access to the same opportunities. We know this. This is fact, especially in male-dominated genres. But what would you say to your fellow female voiceover colleagues and peers who want to break into VO in general, or who are seeing an overall decline in the opportunities they can access?
Don't let it stop you. Don't let it stop you. I mean, go for it. I mean, we're just as capable. We're showing up, we're booking. I mean, it is interesting to me when we see castings that are looking for all genders, you know, and it goes back to the point if they don't know what they want. And, you know, and there are so many talented men in this industry too. Yep. And it's hard that we're competing against each other, but we're all bringing something different to the table. So I just kind of look at it as like they're hiring the person, not the gender. They're hiring the voice, not the gender, whoever that ends up being. It can get discouraging. Absolutely. Because there are lots of commercials out there that I want to do that I think any of us would be very capable and able, which is why Building Doors exists. But don't let that stop you. I mean, we need more women. I mean, I'm raising 2 girls and they see what I do and they want to do what mommy does. You know, they want to have an opportunity. They want to have a crack at it. And I never tell them that, you know, you can't do this or you can't do that, or there aren't that many opportunities for you. I just kind of try to ignore it, honestly.
Jenn?
Yeah, I agree. We're going to miss every swing we don't take, right? So I agree with Ashton. Don't let it stop you. I, for sure, have been replaced by, I booked gigs and then it's like, oh, they decided to go in another direction. I'm like, what direction would that be? A male voice. I'm like, great. But I've also replaced men. So it's not that we're trying to broom the guys aside and go, sorry, guys, all the work for the women, but more like we can't book the opportunities that we don't have. So we just want a bigger plateau of possibility to show the consumer and the brands that we're very, very viable and very lucrative in this space. We bring money to the table for the brand. So,
and frankly, I do love when they say all genders, because then you do have an opportunity to play at the same table. I think it's great versus a creative getting so locked in on, well, it has to be a man. Well, but why? Especially if it's just a general, VO narrator type thing. Why? I mean, I get if it's a male character, then yeah, absolutely hire a man. But I like when we get an equal shot to take.
Sometimes the scripts are written for men, though.
1,000%.
So they say all genders, but the script is written in a way where you can tell they would like a male perspective. And what I think is so interesting is that somebody said to me before, and I'm not trying to make this political at all, but someone said before the latest presidential election, oh, if so-and-so wins, it's going to be so big for women in all industries, right? And I thought, well, no, it's going to be fine. Like there's still going to be things that are specifically asked for men or non-gender or or female, whatever. Mm-hmm. And for all this data to come out now and say that there is an uptick in requesting male voices. We are hearing more male voices. The data shows that, especially in events like the Super Bowl, where there were 111 ads and 100 were voiced by men. So I think that there's a big opportunity for women to stand out in fields where it's historically been men. And I'm going to share a story that I think I've shared before on this podcast, but it's worth repeating. On LinkedIn, I hooked up with a guy. I hooked up. No, that's not what I meant.
Oh, Christy.
Wrong app.
Oh my gosh. I was not swiping left or right. I connected. There's the language we needed. I connected with a gentleman who does nothing but blue collar trade videos. So think construction companies, concrete companies, pallet companies, all, that kind of stuff. And it's so interesting. He came to me and he said, Christy, will you just do some scratch tracks? Because whenever I put together a potential demo to show my drone footage and what I could do for them, I always use my voice. And he's like, but I really want to have a professional voice, and a woman is different. Everybody always uses men for these things. And so in a lot of ways, showing a woman on this is the new, shiny object. It's the new creative thing to do because it's so different that they've never done it before. And so I think there is this idea in some people's head that men belong here, women belong here. But then when presented the option, and I think that's what Building Doors, it bears repeating, is all about. It's not about taking jobs away from men. It's about getting women's voices heard in rooms they've never been heard before, and let the client make the choice, because you never know if you haven't listened to it before.
1,000%.
Yeah. So I want to find out from you guys, commercial genre. What do you think, if you're just beginning, what advice do you have for people? Because commercial genre is the foundation of everything. Before you get to mastering audiobooks, before you get to mastering animation or gaming, everyone starts with commercial. So what would you recommend to people who are just starting out, how to get their toes into commercial genre?
I've actually had 3 people ask me this week that same question. It's crazy. I know. 3 people. I'm like, don't do it. No, I'm kidding.
That was awesome.
No. And I mean, I think first off, don't be afraid to take the first step. Whatever your first step is, do that first step. And it's finding a reputable coach. It's making sure you have the fundamental knowledge of the industry. If you don't have an acting background, get acting classes, because it's not about just having a good voice. And I think that's what's so funny is all these requests is, I met this guy, he has a great voice. How does he do what you do? And I'm like, man, it's years of theater training and agency background and understanding of marketing. And so find people, whether that's through Instagram or LinkedIn. That's exactly how I did it. Was I got on LinkedIn and I started people who were doing what I wanted to do, and I started clicking and sliding into DMs to see who would respond to me, who would coach me, and be coachable. Absolutely, be coachable. If listen to people who are doing what you want to do. Follow people who are booking, not just coaching. Follow people who are booking and get in with them if you can, and have a studio. I mean, make sure you can do this at home.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, all of that. Totally agree. I've coached students, and everybody wants the fast track. Everybody's like, "How do we get into it quickly?" And I'm like, it's not just stepping up to the mic and as an ad agency producer, humbled and shocked to find out that just because I was hiring voice actors, knew their agents and casting, like, I want to do it too. And they're like, good for you. Have you trained? I'm like, no. So why don't you do that? The other thing that always surprises me when I was coaching people and they're like, yeah, I want to do commercials. I'm like, yeah, so what kinds of commercials have you noticed on air? What sorts of trends? I don't watch commercials. I can skip all those. And I'm always thinking, you probably want to listen to the thing that you want to do, not to be shady about it, but just like go ahead and listen to them, coaching, building relationships. Because I think what's challenging now is because there are so many voice actors and it is just objectively a saturated field. People always want to work with people they know, like, and trust. So if you're not involved in the VO community, if you're not mixing and mingling with other voice actors or supporting the community, chances are people are going to be like, who are you? Like, I can't refer you. I don't know you. I get a lot of referrals. I refer a lot of people. So I think that it's really about integrating yourself in the community, getting some coaching, watching the thing that you say you want to do.
Yeah, that's great advice. And also going to conferences if you can afford it, like VO Atlanta. I think VO Atlanta is one of the best conferences you can go to really get your feet all the way in and kind of dive your head all the way in and learn more from and make great connections.
Yeah. That's how I met Christy. I mean, somebody said, you need to meet Christy Harst on a phone call. And then I interrupted a conversation. I'm like, hey, I'm supposed to know you. And now, I'm really good at that. I like force myself on people. It's fine. But I mean, I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have had one person who mentioned Christy's name. And then I had the wherewithal to write the name down that I needed to know, commit it to memory, see a name tag, and then be willing to not make myself, be vulnerable and be authentic with her and just say, hey, someone said I needed to know you. I have nothing to offer you. I'm not trying to get anything out of this. I just want to be in community with you. And I think there are so many people who are willing to do that because I think we're a lonely society right now. I think people want connection. And I think if you're willing to put yourself out there, that's the only reason I've had the success that I've had so early on, is being willing to put myself out there and just take in what everybody's been willing to teach me. And I think that's huge to getting started.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that you and I met at VO Atlanta 2 years ago at lunch.
Actually, no, you were actually talking to someone because I know this about myself. You were talking to someone. I'll tell you more specifics later. But I inserted myself in between you and one other person, and it's okay. It's okay. But then I followed up. So that's when you remember it. But I knew, like, I'm gonna make this, like, plant this, like, small seed, and then I'm gonna not be weird about it later, and we'll talk again. But yeah, so.
And I think the biggest themes here in our conversation today are personal relationships, right? Reaching out and networking, whether that's just Zoom calls, whether that's in person, whether that's via email. Like Ashton said, if you're someone that's listening and you've been toying with the idea of getting involved, go to Instagram, go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook, and look up other VO actors. Start clicking, go to their website, listen to their demo, and reach out. The voiceover community is terribly generous. We are a terribly generous group. I can name the very first person I ever spoke to when I wanted to become full-time. And then I can name the second person that I talked to. And I still talk to them to this day. I'm still connected with them because they set me on the path, right, of getting involved, because the voiceover industry can look and feel very intimidating on the outside. Until you can get in, and then you realize just how friendly and amazing we all are. So amazing.
Yes.
You really are.
Amazing.
So great.
So before we stop our conversation, I'd like to ask you to share one or two resources that people could go to, even if you're not necessarily new. Because I know that there's a lot of experienced voice actors who don't know about that workout group or this monthly workshop or that. Do you know what I mean? So I'll start. Kelly from Voicecaster, Mozinski, she has a group that you can go to her website, voicecaster.com. And I don't know the price point, so I can't say, but if it fits within your budget and if you are a fairly experienced voice actor, this group is for you. You will learn so much. And I highly, highly recommend it. Not for the newbies, but for the more mid to more experienced voice actors. If you aren't familiar with it, go there. Jenn or Ashton?
I have a hot tip for my LA colleagues.
Yeah, do it.
Voice Tracks West, one of my favorite recording studios here in Los Angeles, has the most fantastic DIY booth. It's very inexpensive. I couldn't tell you again like how much exactly, but it's very doable. And they don't provide an audio engineer, but they can set you up on Twisted Wave and you can record yourself. I did a whole audio book there just last year, I want to say.
Wow.
And they are so friendly, so accommodating. So if you need something DIY'd in the studio, like for me, I just wanted to use the studio for the audiobook because I live in Los Angeles. It's hard to get long stretches of no helicopter, no truck, no neighbor building. So it's very, so a lot of actors use it for audiobooks or just picking out a bunch of auditions at once. So yeah, I highly recommend Voice Tracks West in Studio City.
Well, since you guys are promoting your West Coast friends, I mean, The Library by Tina Marasco is a must if you're getting into this business. Her subscription to the library, you can reference it whenever you need. I know it's a wait list. People wait forever to coach with the great Tina, but to be in her library and have her as a resource. And then Mary Lynn Wisner has a really cool the Video Pros studio session. She's got a new membership out, kind of like the library, but 2 casting greats, 2 brilliant women, awesome in the industry, very generous with their time. They have been to me. And I just know that that both of those, you can't go wrong with any, between Kelly and Tina and Mary Lynn, any of those wisdom from what they're putting out there is fantastic.
Thank you so much, Jenn and Ashton, for joining the Building Doors podcast today. Jenn and Ashton are door builders.
Am I that isn't that what they do? The kids these days are doing.
Oh, what do they do?
The kids these days.
Little heart.
I am not that cool. I just go with the old school.
I think there's something like this too. Yeah. I don't know.
This means
this means good, I think. Or something.
This means good.
Oh, and then my
look at that.
It's like the Gen Alpha heart, which
look at us trying so hard.
So fun, guys. Thank you, Christy, for all you do.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for all you do for our community, for inviting us and giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to get in touch with Jenn or Ashton, you can go to their websites. You can go to Google and type in Jenn Sims, voice actor. Go to Google and type in Ashton Teal. She's the only Teal. You'll find her because her picture's all teal as well. Go to Google, easy to find. And I'm sure any one of them, both of them would be willing to take your email if you have any additional questions.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank everyone who tunes in to the Building Doors podcast, whether you listen or whether you watch via YouTube TV. And until next time, let's build some more doors. Bye.
Let's do it. Bye.